That's the movie you're watching, guys. Here's how I like them. I suggest you have them the same way. Get your dogs. We're going to talk about a movie today that many of you probably aren't aware of. And maybe you are, maybe you just forgot about it. And that's the whole idea behind this segment. Forgotten Awesomeness. We're going to talk about awesome little movies. They're not all good movies. I'm not saying this is a good movie, but it is a fun movie, and there's something about it I like. Now, it's not a big movie, but as you'll see in the background here, it's nothing but trouble. Dan Aykroyd, Chevy Chase, Demi Moore, John Candy flick. Came out in 1991. I have a warm spot in my heart for this movie. It got trashed by critics and did for a long time, and it wasn't until more recently that it started getting a little bit of love.
It's a weird movie. It's not a very good movie, but it's one of those so bad it's good that you enjoy. The biggest problem I have with this movie is the pacing is all over the place, but there is a kineticism to this movie. There is a intrigue and funness to this movie, and it's just an all-around just weird experience that you have fun with. Like Triv says, you can find great stuff out of the terrible movies, and that's what this movie does.
Man, it's got so many issues, but there's so much stuff in it that's so fucking out there and weird that I love watching it.
Oftentimes the stories behind the scenes are what make what happened on screen all the more interesting, and this one clearly has a lot of that going on. I could see as a kid being blown away by this. The one thing I'll say is that Jake and I reviewed Freaked a while back, and that was my first watch of that one. Having seen that, I think I came in with expectations of a certain level on this one, and I'll leave it at that for now.
I also want to point out that I, of all people, have been introducing Triv to some really fucking weird movies.
Hey, I got no problems
Freaked
with that, man.
and this. All right, so let's jump into this thing. Nothing but trouble. This movie had a massive budget, and it grew from there. It got even more. It cost a shit ton of money. It's got a shit ton of people in it. It had everything it should have to succeed. So, let me paint a picture for you. We have our main character played by Chevy Chase, playing a little bit different character than he usually does, playing more of a everyman. He's kind of quippy, but he's not like the goofy Chevy Chase that we're used to. He's more of the straight-laced type. He's really a financial advisor, I think he is, or something like that. Not a banker, but he's throwing this really elaborate party with all these rich people. He's very posh and rich, and Demi Moore's character shows up, and she is wanting... I honestly don't even know why. I think she's a lawyer, but she's wanting to go to Atlantic City. And apparently this lawyer can't afford a car to get there or whatever. She happens upon this guy and just randomly asks him, can I borrow your car?
It was the 80s or 90s.
Both people that make good money, but apparently she needs to borrow his car. And he says, no, I'll take you. And he's going to take her to Atlantic City. Now, early in the film, or this is the first 15 minutes of the film is all this. And I'll go ahead and say that the first 15 minutes of this movie are pretty fucking pointless. You don't even fucking need them. I mean, you need them to establish who these people are and I guess why they're going. They don't even really give a good reason as to why they're going to Atlantic City. It may be in there,
it's her ex-boyfriend, or her boyfriend was doing some kind of a shady deal behind her back or something like that. But it's also her client.
It's so normal too. Like it's weird the kind of how it goes from one kind of weird tropey thing to another tropey thing when it comes to the genre. It's like a normal film in the beginning, and then it goes.
Yeah, it's normal-ish in the beginning. It is more or less your late 80s, early 90s, which came out in 91. You would think this is a normal movie. There's a couple of like quirks in it, which we'll get to them in a minute, but for the most part, it's a normal-ish movie with a little sense of humor. And they're gonna go on this road trip the next day, and you know, it's real thin characters, just setting them up. Probably, honestly, they could have cut more out of this portion of the movie than anything and just moved the story along a little bit quicker. The very beginning, the first 15 minutes is a different movie than what you're gonna get. Don't worry. It's gonna get real different real quick. At this party, I do want to say that we're introduced to two other characters. They're as
their brother and sister.
Chevy Chase calls them Brazilianaires. They're played by who are the actors who play this?
Taylor Negron is he's a pretty famous. He's a well-known character actor, so I knew him. The other one's
They are, and here they are.
Apparently.
This couple, or not couple, brother and sister Brazilian combo, just show up. Just show the fuck up at this guy's party. I mean, they're at his party anyway. That he is their financial advisor, but they are like the most pushy couple ever, and they decide they're going to go on this trip too. And me, myself, I mean, you've got this chick over here. I don't know what she's wearing. She looks like the Chiquita Banana chick. And
And that's their normal outfit. Like, that's the most normal of what they wear.
Yes,
It's
and
just
they're
like-
quite possibly two of the most annoying yet funny characters ever. And the way they say his name, they don't say Chris. They run around the whole movie going, Cliss, 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 do this, Cliss, Cliss. It's all, if you played a fucking drinking game within the first 20 minutes of this movie of how many times they say Cliss, you'd be shit-faced in 10 minutes. Anyway, they take off to go to Atlantic City. Our two Brazilianaires tell Cliss that, hey, let's get off the road. Let's take the country roads, as he put it. And he's like, we're in Jersey, or we're going through Jersey. There's nothing to see. And they go on these country roads, or they get off. They provoke him into getting off, and he gets off, and they start going through just the Appalachian Trail or something like that. I don't know, but like some towns and all that. They come up on a town, Vulcanvania, I believe is what they call it.
And it has the best billboard outside of it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, it does. Here's the town, and then we have this amazing billboard right here. He should have obeyed the law. Village of Vulcanvania, welcome, drive safely, slow down. You got fucking dead bodies in the background and stuff. And the cop's holding a baby. What in the fuck are we watching? Also, our main character, Cliss, like I said, he's not playing the regular Chevy Chase things that he usually does. He has something to say. He has little quips throughout the entire fucking movie. Like, everything that happens, he's got shit to say. And he just has shit to say about everything, and a ton of it's done in like post and ADR, and you can tell the change in how the audio sounds. Every little thing he is constantly commenting on, and it comes to a point to where it's like, I mean, some of them are like, that's kind of goofy, funny, ha ha ha, and then after a while it's like, dude, shut the fuck up. What? He has something to say about everything. And after a while, it becomes white noise. So anyway, they're going through this town. They run a stop sign, I think it is. And a cop starts to follow them. And, he's like, oh, no, it's the police. I got to pull over. Now, of course, in the back seat are the Brazilianaires. And they're like, you don't have to stop, Cliss. You can go and you don't have to stop. You're in a BMW. Let's see what this baby can do. Put it to the floor and get out of here. You don't have to stop for this cop. And I'm not being like insensitive. That's how the movie does it. It's really over the top. So they take off, and he says, I'm not going to stop. And he's like, what will this baby do? I bet it'll do 90. And he's like, oh, this'll do 130. He's like, then do it, Cliss. Let's do it. Let's see you do it. So they take off and try and get away from this cop. Unfortunately for them, though, they didn't realize. They're not just trying to outrun a cop. Oh, no.
Now I think you may be breaking the law.
So now they're going along, and they're like, oh, yeah, we're good. He can never catch us. But this isn't just any cop. This is fucking Mad Max. And then even after that, he starts to like turn on like switches and stuff that like close barriers ahead of him. He's like Mad Max mixed with fucking James Bond. So they get pulled over. Cliss gives in to the peer pressure, speeds, and the cop pulls him over. The cop is John Candy. He tells them, you're being detained. Don't make no problems. Don't won't be no problems. And he says, follow me to the magistrate or the judge or whatever, and we'll get this taken care of. And he's like, whatever, okay, I'll pay these tickets. I'll get out of here. So they follow him to this really fucked up, decrepit looking house that looks like the house from Psycho, but it was left unattended for 50 years or 100 years, and hoarders moved in. This is right around the time that things start getting weird, but it's still
yeah, I understand.
It's still somewhat normal. So they arrive at this house. They go over a moat and everything to get to it, and there's like a drawbridge and all that stuff. Everything here, I guess, looks great. I mean, it's you could see the money. They had a massive budget, and it kept ballooning into an even larger budget. But every bit of this is practical. It's not even like matte paint. There may be some matte paintings, but it's all like built. You see where the money went. Here's the house and the whole. I mean, this isn't probably the best representation of it, but you've got this massive actual structure they built, and all this shit just outside of it. And there it is. All that. I mean, some of that's matte painting, you can tell. There is a lot of stuff going on in this movie that they actually placed here, so it's got great set design. They go in, and they go before the judge. And the judge comes down. They can't see him because there's some books in the way, and he starts going through stuff, saying some weird shit. And they're like, what exactly is going on here? The judge is played by Dan Aykroyd, which he plays a couple of different roles in this movie. And he has some interesting prosthetics here in the flick. He's got some books in front of him. And they say the wrong thing, and he jumps up. And this is the judge.
Oh, when you go, the cat's eyes will spin.
And here he goes. There's the judge in all his glory. Now I want you guys to look at this picture for a minute. Nick, what's the first thing you see here? There's some subliminal messaging going on here.
What a prick.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not an optical illusion, and it's very intentional. But this gentleman has a dick for a nose, and this is throughout the entire movie. He has a straight, and as the movie goes on, it looks more and more phallic, by the way. But he a straight dick for his nose. Triv, why don't you lead us? Tell us about this court appearance and what happens and as things start to get odd in this movie.
Well, he accuses Chevy Chase's or Chris of being a banker, even though he's not a banker. He confiscates their IDs and stuff. He says, well, we'll get this figured out, but you guys are gonna have to stay for another court appearance tomorrow at 4, and then they're all like, we can't do that because we have to be in Atlantic City. And then for some reason Chris decides to antagonize the judge, and he pulls a lever on an organ, and then the floor drops from under them, and they land in a gigantic pool of squeaky toys.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, you hear that, and you're like, what the fuck is she talking nonsense here? I assure you she's not. She just gave you a very detailed rendition of what happens in this movie. That's how fucking out there this movie is.
This isn't even the most out there portion of this movie. It gets out there.
This is pretty tame in the
It goes
grand
places.
Yeah, this is very tame compared to where the movie goes. That's for sure. And I know it sounds confusing, but just believe me, that's just the movie. Now, I will give the movie this much: as weird and out there and random as it seems, it's not hard to keep track of. I mean, as you're watching it,
it's straightforward.
Weirdly makes sense. I hate to use that word or phrase, but it does make sense as you're watching it. It's not such as like the Ice Pirates was, where it's like half the time I'm like, what in the fuck is actually going on here? No, you actually get what's going on.
I'm surprised this didn't pop up on Riff Tracks.
I mean, it doesn't need to. It's got Chevy Chase riffing on it throughout the entire movie.
Yeah, 100%. He was kind of
say non-fucking stop. After our heroes are dropped into the squeaky toys and they're down there arguing about why they're there, we get a little side story that happens, and another vehicle of individuals new to the story get pulled over by John Candy's officer. This would be a group of women and one man, and that man, of course, would be one of the Baldwins. You know shit's getting real now. It's Daniel Baldwin, by the way, and he even tries to pull a gun on John Candy's character, but John Candy's character pulls a fucking Uzi out on him. This is like a rural area, like, deputy cop, like just like Andy Griffith guy, and he pulls out a fucking Uzi on the guy. But anyway, he takes them back, and they go to their court hearing with the judge, or the Reeve, I think is what they call him, actually. And he finds them guilty. They got lots of drugs and all this and that. He says, I'm going to sentence you to death. And they're like, because they're laughing at him the whole time. They're talking about his dick nose and all that stuff. And he tells them, get close. Come close to the altar, the bench. And then he does this. Okay, so what's going on here? In some crap here, we got this. They go on the Bone Stripper, the roller coaster from hell. This elaborate, crazy fucking thing is what he throws around. They go on this crazy roller coaster, and they're like, what the fuck is going on? And they fly into this.
It's like the Unix machine from Ice Pirates.
And yeah, he fucking killed them. And it shoots their bones out into a pile over here.
I love how it actually has like a sprinkler system or whatever, or water just starts shooting into this
Yeah.
to clean out all the blood
To
and
clean
gut.
it.
I'm like, that is fucking awesome.
I didn't realize that when I was a kid, but I saw that last night. It's got like a sprinkler system afterwards to spray off all the blood off. But, you got to keep that stuff, maintenance. You got to keep the maintenance on
Yeah,
your
sanitize. Yeah.
bone stripping death machine. Okay, so that happens, and then we're going to supper. The female deputy comes in with a M16, says, "Time for supper," and they go to eat with the family. And I'm going to let Nick take it over and tell us about this amazing meal that we have here. This whole scene, this everything going on here.
This dinner is like straight up weird because there's like he puts a gas can nozzle into a warm cup of Hawaiian punch, and of course Chevy Chase or Cliss has to commentate on everything that's going on. Then the sausage thing happens, which is like a train comes out of the
Oh, but before that, we're introduced to a new character, aren't we?
Oh yeah. What's her name again?
All that weirdness has been going on, and this weird dinner party thing of the guy coming out of the ceiling like he's sexy transvestite from transsexual Transylvania with a penis nose. And then we get this out of nowhere down the stairs. Everybody's like, "What in the fuck?" And so John Candy shows up as the other, I guess, grandkid, Eldona.
That is it, like
who just
does
says,
something.
She doesn't speak. She goes to everything.
The best scene in this movie, outside of the introduction to drag, they're fed like southern redneck version of like the Temple of Doom food. So you get like ants on a log, and you get like
dogs.
These
Get
sausage,
your dog.
Yeah. And I can't remember if they were like actual dogs, but I thought as a kid they
it's
were
hot
actual
dogs.
That
And-
joke actually happens when he says, "Everybody, how you like your dogs?" And Demi Moore's like, he's like, "No, hot dogs, not dogs."
And he's
they
like,
got like a
the
train,
train
that goes around the table that has condiments on it.
and he like squirts mustard or whatever onto the wiener of the dog. And it's like shaking. It's like shaking as he's eating it. It's like the flopping around and shit. His nose
Now,
like
Nick,
flopping around.
We
He's
can't
like,
just describe this. People need to see it. They have to see this. This has to be seen to be believed, ladies and gentlemen. This is probably the greatest and or one of the most disturbing scenes in the film. Dan Aykroyd's penis nose character, the Reeve, eating a dog. So get your dogs.
Here's how I like them, and
Quite the
I
kielbasa.
suggest you have them the same way.
It's downright pornographic, I tell you.
That's the movie you're watching, guys. Here's how I like them. I suggest you have them the same way. Get your dogs. So yeah, that's the scene thus far. So Nick, continue on. What else happens in this masterclass of filmmaking here?
I don't remember. Don't they get like taken to like their own room or some shit? I can't remember anymore.
No,
hot
at
dog
this
scene.
point,
Please continue.
the train has a pickle flipper. It flips a pickle, or throws a pickle thrower. I don't know. It's doing something with pickles, and it
It's a pickle launcher, let's be
launches
honest.
pickle launcher. It launches a pickle at Fausto,
Which is great.
one of the Brazilianaires, and pops him in the face. And he gets up and he's like, "Clis, I can't do this anymore. Me and my sister, we will not put up with this anymore. We are done. We're leaving." So they run. They make a run for it, and they take off out the door. And of course, everybody gets. Or no, they jump out the fucking window. They take off, and they get to the edge of the property, and there's the moat we were talking about, full of toxic waste. And they're like, "Oh no, I don't want to go in it. I can't go in it. It's toxic." And they decide to jump in it because they got to get away. They get to the other side of the moat, and there's John Candy waiting on them. He's gonna take them out, and they're like, "Don't do this, Dennis." His name's Dennis. "Dennis, don't do this. You can let us go. You need a vacation, Dennis. Don't do this. You can let us go. It's up to you." So Dennis, now it's Dennis instead of Chris. He decides to let him go, and he tells him to hide. And that's the last we see of them until later on in the film. So he tells him to hide. His psycho cousin's coming, and then we go back in to Cliss and Demi Moore's character. They try to escape as well, and they're put in a room, and he starts putting the moves on her, and he's just all over, and they're all over each other, and she's, for some reason now, all of a sudden, she's mad at him last scene. There's no consistency here, but she's mad at him, and then she says the thing.
Oh, that's right.
Better lie
She's
down.
right. She looks at him and she goes, "You're nothing but trouble, Chris."
Right there. She said it. She said the thing, ladies and gentlemen. But they're laying there, and then the bed, like somebody's watching them in the wall. Somebody
exactly.
pops the eyes out of the painting and like, looking at them through it. And as they're laying there, the bed just spins around like fucking crazy.
For no reason. It's just like,
No reason at all. It's just, and it's
And-
the most
and they're like,
random
"What was
fucking
that?"
thing.
And then is that when the wall opens up, or they figure out a way to get up to the next level? Oh, they go back out into the hallway, and then they go up like this.
The movie suddenly they are no longer, they're in the Resident Evil house now, and almost make a Jill sandwich, and it's like this. They're just walking down a hall, and the other end of the hallway starts coming at them, and they're like, "It's getting smaller! Oh no, it's coming at us!" And that's the last minute
it's
they run
Star
away.
Wars.
I'm like,
Brace!
what in the fuck is going on? And they end up in the wall, I think.
Do they just like have random death traps in this house everywhere? It's like
Yes.
it doesn't make any sense.
They end up in the attic, actually, and they find a
That's
bunch
what
of,
happens next.
They find a bunch of people's licenses and stuff hanging on the wall.
Yeah, like Jimmy Hoffa.
Like thousands. Yeah, there's thousands of them all over the place, and apparently they've been doing this for over 100 years. And they find Jimmy Hoffa's license, and as they're up there, we see a hand, and we I think we're later led to believe that it's Dennis trying to help them out. Releases a secret trap door, or not trap door, like just a door in the wall. They get in the wall, and they go down 100-foot long twisty turny slide in the wall in the middle of this house. So it doesn't make sense logistically. It does not make sense how long this slide is and how long they're sliding. It's like a Temple of Doom slide, but inside this fucking house. They're still in it.
Because movie.
She is ejected out into the yard, and Chevy Chase lands in like a bag of bones, still on the wall, and he comes up on a hole in the wall in the judge's bed chambers. And we get to see some gloriousness through this glory hole from the judge as he disrobes. I said the hot dog thing was probably the most disturbing scene in the movie. It's not. This is, and I can't really do it justice, so I'm just going to show it here. This is the judge. He doesn't know that he's being watched by Chevy Chase in the wall as he disrobes. Ah! So yeah, that disturbed me as a child, seeing this man take his fucking nose and upper lip off. He goes on from there to take off like his fucking leg, and he's getting like all his parts are falling off, and then he gets in bed. But yeah, we see the judge is not all, he takes the penis off. The thing that I really that blows me away about this is one of two things. Either A, that nose, since it's not natural, it's a prosthetic nose, he either chose for his nose to look like a dick, or that's just a real dick that they took off of somebody and put it on his face.
I'm going with option 2.
Yeah, I am too. It's Jimmy Hoffa's dick.
No.
We flash out to Demi Moore's character out in the yard.
Triv, how you doing? Let's have you
Yes.
explain what exactly happens here.
She stumbles upon a set of interesting looking people. Like, she hears noise in the distance, and like the reveal of the judge, it's kind of one of those things where you see it and then you don't, and then you see it again and you don't. Like, you see bits and pieces, and then the glorious reveal of Bobo and Little Devil.
There it is.
Oh my god, they're like a set of twin adult
One of them's Dan
giant
Aykroyd.
babies, yeah. And like they look like the clown demon thing from Spawn, kind of. What the fuck?
In all honesty, it is a great prosthetic. Like their whole body is covered in prosthetic. They got these nasty, low-hanging, swinging diapers and everything. I think they're cousins. I don't know. They're related. They're all related to this fucking crazy-ass Texas Chainsaw Massacre
Their
family.
cousin's mother's third wife, twice removed on their mother's side.
Yeah. She gets out there. She gets caught by them. She's caught. She's caged up, and she's hanging out with Bobo and Little Devil. Chevy Chase is brought in, and I think he tries to run from the judge and ends up caught by Eldona. And apparently Eldona, the judge says if she catches someone, they're hers. So now she owns Chevy Chase. And he's like, whoa. What the hell? Okay. And the judge goes down to our new group of characters that have been caught. Here's them. Here's the judge coming down.
Fancy desk.
And there they are. And I love this guy's reaction right here, the first
Okay,
guy.
what's going on, boy? Oh, 12:30, isn't it? Kind of late. I was dreaming there, back in France.
If you're wondering who these people are, this is Digital Underground. And if you're wondering who Digital Underground is, they're the guys that did the Humpty Dance. You know, remember? The Humpty Dance is your chance to do the hump. That guy, I'm sure you've heard that song. You've had all this craziness in this movie, all this shit going on, and now fucking now the Humpty people, the Humpty Dance has shown up in the movie. Were you just like at this point desensitized, or what were you thinking?
What? What the hell's going on over here?
Yes, that is pretty much what you get. Now it gets weirder. Moving on from that though, because that's how the movie does. We go on and we see Chevy Chase with Eldona. She does a musical striptease, she being John Candy, for him. Thankfully, it doesn't go too far, and he gets called out of the room. And this is when he finds out
because it's her special day.
He's being married off to her, and they go to do the ceremony. And before that, the judge is let known that, hey, these people, he's like, did they have any contraband in their car? And she's like, they had some musical instruments. And he's like, well, bring them in here, let me see them. And then all this stuff with Eldona happens, and then it cuts to back to the courtroom, and this is what it goes with this. Just suddenly, in the middle of the movie.
I have to say, as a kid growing up, I had no idea what this was, and now I think this is like the most awesome thing ever.
Been all around the world.
Well, every movie should have a musical break.
So yeah, the movie suddenly goes into a music video, kinda, sorta. It's Digital Underground just singing, and if you didn't notice, the guy here, he's got the New York jersey on. Tupac Shakur. Tupac was a member of Digital Underground before he was Tupac. I mean, it's Tupac, but before he was the Tupac that we know. And he is in this movie singing his ass off, saying, all around the world, same song. So yeah, Tupac's in this movie. This is his first cinematic venture, is Nothing But Trouble. I'm sure he was proud of that. I'm sure his mom's proud of that. Dear Mama, I'm in Nothing But Trouble.
The movie's already weird as fuck as it is, and then you have Digital Underground, which Digital Underground's what it is, but it's like, it's not what the cameo you would think of seeing in this weird ass fucking crazy movie.
That's the thing about this movie. By this point, you're sitting here watching it, and all this shit's happening. At this point, any other movie, I would be like, what in the fuck is going on? But with this one, I was just like, yeah, it's kind of par for the course at this point. Yeah, sure, Digital Underground showed up and they started singing. Of course they did. Why wouldn't they? But the judge decides that, okay, you guys are musicians. We're gonna let you go, but I need you to help me with something. He wants them to be the band at the wedding. They start to put the wedding on suddenly. Effectively, John Candy's Eldona character and Chevy Chase's character get married. So he runs away. He escapes. They go outside and they get Demi Moore's character, and they take her and they put her on this crazy 3-pronged guillotine thing. Got her out there, and they're telling him to come on down here, and she's like, no, run, blah 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 blah. At this point, it's less funny stuff and just more stuff is just happening like this movie does. They get away. They blow some stuff up and all this and that. They blow up, not a lot, they blow up a little bit. They get away, they jump on a train, and they get back to society. And they go to the police, and they tell the police, hey, this shit's going on. So the police come back with like the fucking National Guard. Chevy Chase and Demi Moore go knock on the door, and they're like, you're busted, da 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 da. And then he's like, you might want to turn around. He turns around, and it's like these hundreds of like military and police people are there, and they're like, hi, Judge. So they're all in on it, and they're like, oh, fuck. All this crazy shit has happened, and oh, they're busted, and then what, Triv?
So Kane goes down and breaks through the earth. All of a sudden, the apocalypse starts up, and all of the burning that's been going on underneath the surface, like, just blows everything to high heaven. R.I.P. to the multi-story house with the giant-ass slide. That would have been a really great amusement park, you know? Oh yeah, 100%. It just goes down and down and down. Whole place goes up, everybody runs away screaming. Chris and his lady love jump into the BMW, and then they take off like a bat out of hell, and they get the hell out of Dodge and get back to New York and happily ever after.
Almost, yeah. Now, we also see that Fausto and his sister and Denise they get back to Rio, and apparently Dennis is her lover now, and they're happily ever after. Good for them. But we see Chevy Chase, Clis, and I don't even know whatever Demi Moore's character's name was. They're back in New York. They're sitting there. They're up there happily in their little penthouse, and she goes to take a shower or something like that, and he turns the TV on and he's watching it, and he's like, oh look, it's news about what we were just at and the explosion and all that. He's sitting there watching it, and it shows that a reporter sitting there, and she says all this oil came out, blah blah blah, this huge explosion, but there's, hey, one of the residents, the local residents is here, and she goes to interview this person, and it's the judge, and he turns around and he says, well, unfortunately this happened, but it's okay. My son-in-law's a banker, and we're going to go live with him, and his dick nose and everything with the Chevy Chase's ID is going, see you soon, banker. This movie had to go out with one, just it couldn't just leave it at that. It went out on some fucking Looney Tunes shit.
Come on, what? No, what? See you soon, banker. No,
And that dick
what?
nose just in full. Bam.
No, you won't.
They even have the Looney Tunes music.
Yeah.
Like
The movie.
Oh my god.
And that's Nothing But Trouble. Holy shit. I remember this movie being really weird, and we glossed over a lot.
Yes.
This movie is so fucking weird, but I still loved it. I get why it wasn't a success back in 91, but damn, man, this movie is just, I can't see how you can not watch. You definitely see the issues it has, but I can't see how you could watch this movie and not just have a good time, because it is so just fucking random.
The amount of weird in this, like, you couldn't sit down and not just be amused by what you're seeing, but it's definitely something that is better as a group watch or as a kid, I think.
Do you think would you consider it so bad it's good, or do you even not think
Oh,
it's bad?
absolutely. No, it's so bad it's good. Yeah, it was a ton of fun. It was a great watch,
yeah.
and I will definitely catch it again.
I think that this one, its charm is its issue. Its issue is that Dan Aykroyd was allowed to make this movie after Ghostbusters because he was Dan Aykroyd, and they're like, sure,
Right.
make whatever you want. And there was nobody holding it, nobody there to reel it in. And we complained about studios coming and like having too much control, but this is what happens when there's none. Because they just were like, just do what you do. And by the time they realized shit's going south, it had already left. It had gone south. And there was nobody there to at least somewhat reel it in. However, on the flip side of that, if there had been somebody there trying to reel things in, it probably would have lost some of its what charm it has and not been this weird oddity that it is.
It's a movie with a lot of promise. It's a movie with a guy like Dan Aykroyd, who's a weirdo to begin with, who just was overwhelmed with everything. They talk about how it could have been John Landis, or it could have been all these types of Joe Dante or any of these directors, but they saw the script and they're like, no. Even John Hughes was like brought aboard to do this. He's like, I'm not doing this.
How do you think this would have done if it had been given to, like, say, John Waters?
Oh my God. There would have been a lot more shit eating.
Well, yeah.
It would have been set in Baltimore, lots of shit eating, and Divine would have been there, but beyond that, yeah, Divine would have been Eldona.
Yeah.
Instead of John Candy. Yeah, but that's Nothing But Trouble, folks. And me, myself, personally, it's a flawed movie, but it is absolutely worth checking out because it is just so... Being a studio movie, too, I think is something that does it. That is just...
Oh, yeah.
You're not used to seeing this level of fucking out there and just unabated craziness from a studio flick. And there is a lot of money. It's a quality... It's got... The money is on the screen. It's got a lot of fucking money on there. Mm-hmm. And... It went way over budget, and you can see it, but it's... I can't call it a good movie, but I can call it a really fun movie that I enjoy. And I hope you guys enjoyed it, too.